Today we are going to talk about the North Carolina First Grade Standard NBT 7. Read and write numerals and represent a number of objects with a written numeral to 100. You may notice that some students are in the progression level of counting by ones. 10 frames are a great tool to use when teaching this standard. They will help with the organization and with the understanding of the benchmarks of 5 and 10, which in turn lead to the next level of counting by 10. In the beginning, it is a great idea to have numeral cards or numeral tiles available for a student to use as reference. In this task, simply give a student a bowl of counters and ask them to tell you how many are in the bowl. For students counting by ones, they will obviously count out loud. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Over time, and with use of the 10 frame, students will soon understand and trust that when that frame is filled, I have a 10, so I no longer need to count by ones. So a student who has this understanding will fill the 10 frame, probably without counting, and then say, I have 10, 11, 12, 13. Next, ask the student to select the numeral card to match the number of counters represented. The student will then select 13 to match. The next level will be for the student to not only select the numeral card, but then ask the student to write the numeral. So they will then write the numeral 13 to match. What should you do if a student writes 31 instead of 13? Simply say, I am reading this and it says 31, however you said there was 13. Did you mean to write 31 or 13? How can you change it so that it reads 13? Then we finally want children to move to the stage of writing the numeral without having a reference. So in this case, after a student counts and tells me 13, they will simply write 13 to represent. As students gain confidence in writing and reading numerals, they will no longer need as many supports to do so. Another task to match this standard is to show a numeral. And ask the student to read it and represent it on the 10 frames. So if you have more than 20, you may show a tool like this with many 10 frames. So then a student will look at the numeral, well, I have 26. At this stage, if they're very familiar with 10 frames, they will no longer need to count by ones because they know a filled frame is worth 10. So I really do not need to count. I just need to fill until I know I have 20. So here I have 10. I'm working on, now I have 20, and then 26. So I will ask the student, count for me. You may notice the student will do 10, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. You can move them to the next level and say, you obviously know a filled 10 frame is 10, so what do you know about when the top is filled? And help them to make the connection. Yes, that's 5. How can that help you become a more efficient counter? Oh, 10, 20, 25, 26. Then another task will be to simply say a numeral and ask the student to represent. So you may say 47 and ask the student to write 47 and then represent it. A good tip is to ask them to represent without 10 frames available. And hopefully they will make the connection. Grouping by tens is an efficient strategy and very helpful in my counting. So although I don't have 10 frames, I can set up and organize my counters like a 10 frame. I may call it an invisible 10 frame. And then they will continue to do so. This stage of counting is crucial. Students are recognizing sets of 10 and counting by tens instead of counting by ones.